You know, what's interesting about having the event here is occasionally I watch all of you. I'm somebody who likes to watch the audience. And it's amazing how many of you men have not looked out that window at that golf course. Good job. But of course, your significant others were looking at you the whole time. So. This next guest, you know, we all have favorite people, and everybody who's spoken here today are people that I admire a great deal and enjoy speaking to. But these next two people, and actually these next two representatives I'm going to be introducing, are some of my favorite people. And I don't say favorite politician, I say favorite people. They're fun people to talk to, they're attentive, and they listen to you, and they really bring a heart to Concord that has sorely been lacking for too long. So it's always my pleasure when I do have an opportunity to introduce you to them. The first one I'm going to introduce you to is Representative Will Smith, currently serves as a state representative for District 18, which includes Newcastle and Rye, and is currently serving his second term. He has been a tireless force to reckon with in Concord, working steadfastly to maintain our liberties here on the seacoast. During Will's second term in the New Hampshire House, he's been out front introducing bills of considerable merit, including the Right to Work bill. Good job, Bill. Prior to serving in the House, he had been the president and CEO of Telco Systems, Inc. Will's education he received at the University of Maryland, Princeton University, and his PhD was earned from the University of Pennsylvania. Will and his very charming and lovely wife, Marge, live in Newcastle. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your Representative Will Smith.
Thank you, Jeff. It's been exciting to be in the legislature this last year and a half. It is a challenging operation because this House has decided that it would reform as much of the laws of the state as it possibly can. And to read about us in the papers, you hear how irrational, unreasonable, and some people say childish we have been. The issue is that we're knocking over tables that have been traditionally assumed to be sacrosanct. And this is exhilarating to be in that mode. One of the roles the Senate has obviously taken on is to calm the enthusiasm down a little bit, but between the two of us, we've managed to make a lot of progress in the last 2 years. Our objectives have been to get our spending under control, which had been going out of control for the last couple of years, to increase jobs through less business regulation, to reduce fraud and increase government transparency, and to provide greater parental control in education. My primary efforts in the last year and a half have been as chairman of Division 2 of Finance. We were able to reduce the spending for general fund and education fund by 11%. We have avoided any new increases in any new taxes, fees, or downshifting. In fact, we had to find another $150 million just to cover the downshifting that was planned by Governor Lynch in the budget that he gave us. And we were committed not to do that, so we restored $154 million in the budget, and which we then had to cut other spending in order to make that happen. In the overall spending, which is was $11.6 billion for 2 years, the previous 2 years, we reduced that by $742 million, which is unheard of in the history of New Hampshire. I'm very proud of the record. And Nancy pointed out in her remarks that our estimate of budget, which at the time was criticized wildly in the newspapers as being very, very pessimistic, we're at the moment about, our plan was to spend $189 billion on general fund and education fund year to date, and we actually have spent 1.86 billion on the plan. On the revenues. So our revenues are very, very close to what we had estimated, and they're in fact we're slightly optimistic. We think we're going to make it up before the end of the year. The donor town plans was part of that, and Nancy did terrific work in her bill. We got it into the finance, but we got it in the budget bill so that it wouldn't have any untoward attention from the governor, because he was pretty much committed to pass it. But besides, we passed the bill with a veto-proof majority. So he didn't sign it, but he let it go into business, into the law. I've also been a member of the Pension Reform Committee, which has put in significant changes to improve the financial footing for the unfunded liability of our current pension system, which is running between $3.8 and $4.8 billion, depending on how much you assume we're going to win in the stock market. We introduced bills to reduce the possibility of spiking of pensions at the end. We've asked employees to contribute an extra 2%. For example, teachers now are at 7%, and the employer is significantly higher than that. And then we have also increased the retirement age for new employees. So we've done a number of things to make the future look a little brighter in terms of unfunded liability. We are now currently working on a defined contribution plan, which we're hoping to get into some form of shape to be able to pass in the next 2 weeks. We're working around the clock on that. And I just recently was added to the Election Law Committee because I didn't have enough to do, and I've been working specifically on the Senate bill that came over to us on photo identification for voting this. It's going to be a struggle. I don't expect to get a single Democrat to vote for it. We are getting American Votes, which is an offshoot of the old Acorn, I believe, and coming in and testifying how there's no fraud in the state. And then finally, Jeff mentioned the passed but vetoed right to work bill. I think that's not only a civil rights bill, but it's also a good jobs bill for the state, as Indiana is finding. They have just put one in. But we did have one success there, which was House Bill 589 that I sponsored for card check. For those of you who know, card check is what it does. If you have card check in, you don't have to have secret ballots for elections to unions. Congress has been trying to put that through. They haven't done it, but we passed it, and it is law now. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Representative.
Croc TV.